Okay, welcome back to SciOps. This is our latest video for carbon in L grade and standard grade and H grade stainless. So, we had a great week last week in the Gulf Coast demoing the product. Special shout out to Ryan. Some great feedback on our user interface and how the data should be presented. So now we're back to show some of those UI updates on some L grades, and then we're going to move on to a different subject in a few minutes. I'm back here with the Bill Gates of carbon here, Brendan Connors, the guy that developed this.
Excited to be here.
I can tell. All right. So thanks for debugging all of the software all week. I really appreciate it. All right, so here's what we've done. Let's take a 304. Right there you go. So we've now made it so there's an automatic pre-flush and pre-burn that's user settable but fixed at about a second or so. So when you test a sample, put the sample up, pull the trigger just like normal. You see the pre-burn is starting, so it flushes it for a couple of seconds, does a pre-burn on the spot. The pre-burn is about a 6-second pre-burn, and then it automatically kicks into the first test. So you see after about 10 seconds, you get your first L grade carbon. It's not L grade. You get your first carbon result. So here we go. We're getting 044. Now what you can do, you see it's just going to show you multiple tests. And if you look on the screen, on the far right, it's showing you the average. So there's another test. Let's do another one. So what this does, this allows the operator to see each individual test and the repeatability. Right, so now we've done 4 tests. It's taken us about 20 seconds. We can keep going. It'll keep scrolling to the right, or we can stop. But let's just stop. This material came in about 044. That's actually 049, so it's pretty close to the assayed value. You can look at each of the readings. Now let's suppose you look at one of these readings and you don't like one because it's high or you got a bad burn. You OES guys know all about that. So what I can do is let's say I don't like this one right here. I tap on it, it makes it red, and it removes it from the averaging. So you see how my average went to 046. If I tap it again, it comes back, average is recalculated. If I want to delete a reading, I just tap it, and when I hit end test, it'll calculate everything, throw that test out, give you the average. So that's how that'll work. Let's just do end test. And there we go. There's your test, there's your 304, and there's your 046 carbon. All right, that's how that works. So, yeah. Pretty good, David. All right, okay.
Yeah.
See, I don't need you to do these demos anymore because I was down demoing and had some success, and okay. Thanks to your inventions, I really appreciate that.
All right. And we have a question here.
Yeah. Question.
So, is it really that important to do evacuation for the argon, before you get started? Is what you're testing here so difficult to measure that all these preparations are necessary?
Yes. Would you agree with me?
Yeah, definitely. It's
right.
Really low carbon concentrations. We're looking at separations of 0.01, 0.02%. And the carbon line, as we mentioned in some of our other videos, the carbon line is deep down in the UV 193 nanometers, where argon really helps you get as much signal as possible out of your spectrum.
Plus, we learned a lot from these guys that have done Spark OES. Like I mentioned a few of them earlier that were really helpful, that have done this all their lives, been doing L grades for 20 years, maybe not that long, and they'll tell you you've got to have a pre-purge, you've got to have a pre-burn. There's these things you have to do to really get repeatable results with OES. So it's only logical if you have to do them with OES, you have to do them with LIBS.
So these are really extraordinary things to be testing on a handheld in a lab.
Absolutely, yeah. This is the only handheld in the world that can do this level of carbon testing. Only one in the world. Here's our 316L. Let's shoot that next. 316L. Here we go. All right, we pull the trigger. Again, we get the pre-burn, pre-flush. So as I said earlier, the pre-burn and pre-flush are really important. The pre-burn further cleans the sample because often grinding isn't enough. The pre-flush kind of flushes argon through there. Now we're going to get our first test at about the 10-second mark, and there's your 016 carbon. Okay, now let's just do that a few more times. Another test. 021, another test. I moved the sample a little bit, so I'll show you a good example. Okay, so on that one, this is a good example. We get 3 very nice, consistent low carbon results, 016, 021, 014, but I got that middle one where I actually moved the sample a little bit, hit a spot where I had not done a pre-burn and the result was elevated. So that's a good case. You tap that, takes it out of the average, and clearly that's an L grade at 017. The assay is 016, and there's your 316L. So that's how the software works.
Yeah.
All right. Anything you'd like to add? I mean,
No, we give you a lot of flexibility to have control over the data rejection, have control over how much pre-flushing you're doing with argon. You can control how many pre-burns the analyzer does, how long that pre-burn time is. So we give you a lot of options, just kind of like an OES instrument.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, so thanks a lot. So that's it. That's the latest software. Again, thanks to a bunch of you OES guys out there that were really provided us with some great feedback when we met up with you a couple of weeks ago, and we look forward to showing everybody this new software down there next time. Yeah. Okay, so let's reshoot our 316 now, because I want to make a couple points about some other elements, not just carbon. So yeah, so let's do that. Here we go. We're getting our pre-burn. So it's a 6-second pre-burn after a 2-second pre-flush with the argon. And we'll get our first test. Oh, look at that. That is a thing of beauty. Do another test. We can just keep testing, looking at the results. So this is another 316L we're shooting. Haven't moved it. Very repeatable results on that carbon. You did a great job. I am really impressed with this.
Well, thank you.
So less than LOD means it's coming in less than about 150 ppm, we think, 015?
Yeah, about that, yeah.
All right. The other point, so again, it's an L grade. You can see with the consistency of the carbon results. The other thing I wanted to point out was the some of the other elements. If you look at silicon, 0.5, 0.52, 0.52, I'm rounding, 0.50, 0.51, within 0.01% on that silicon. So you get a really nice average on the silicon. If you're looking at low silicon, look at the vanadium, 072, 071, 067, 069, the chrome. So when you do these carbon tests, not only are you getting really nice carbon data, but you're also averaging several readings for all the other elements. And you can scroll down and see the rest of them. All right, and look at the moly, 185, 186, 19, 186. So the repeatability of the unit, especially when you start averaging, is really, I think, really good. Especially in the carbon is exceptional. And again, just to remind you, besides the laser and all the other good features, the key to that performance is that argon purge. So now when you have to go up on a ladder, you have to climb up on a tower, wherever you have to go, you're not having to lift the analyzer with a crane and lift an argon tank with a crane. It's all right here in this little thing. So this comes out, you replace it, a couple of bucks to replace it, and you're ready to go.